Hello my two beauties, welcome back to my channel. Today we're going to be doing another Wear Test Wednesday. We're going to be testing out this Flower Beauty Light Illusion Luminous Makeup Foundation. I've heard great things about this foundation, especially from people who have oily skin. Even though it does say luminous, I have heard that it can work for oily skin. So I'm very excited to try this out. If you are new here, I do a Wear Test Wednesday every Wednesday on my channel reviewing a new foundation. So be sure to check back next Wednesday for another brand new foundation that I am testing out. Today I'm going to be wearing this foundation for 10 hours and I want to jump into the claims before we start applying this to my face. But before we go on to the claims, be sure you subscribe to my channel. I upload Monday, Wednesday, Friday at 5 p.m. Mountain Standard Time. So here's what the foundation looks like. First off, it is a glass bottle. It is very heavy feeling and it does feel very high end. It does have a pump as well. I love the packaging with this foundation. It gets an A+ for me. Personally, I love the rose gold like pops of color right there. So this foundation was $14. There are 12 shades. I have the shade Porcelain L1. This is the lightest shade in the range. This has 1.01 ounces of product, so a little bit more than standard, and it has SPF 18 in it. Online it says it's a breakthrough foundation that achieves the impossible. Buildable coverage, it gives soft luminosity, creates a natural and smooth complexion. I'm gonna just get you guys a little bit closer and we can get to testing out this foundation. I just prepped my skin using the same Dr. Brandt Pore Stormwear Primer. I use this with every foundation that I am doing a wear test with because I know how this goes on and I know how this wears on my skin, and I want to keep it the same for every foundation and make sure that I'm not adjusting how the foundation is wearing based on the primer. I'm going to do half my face with a sponge, half of my face with a brush. This is the bottle up close. It's so gorgeous. Ooh, the pump is really nice. So let's do this side with a sponge. Taking a beauty blender. It looks like this foundation is going to match me, which is good because a lot of drugstore foundations don't have shades light enough to match skin that's very fair. So I think that this one is going to be able to do that. So I think this foundation is going to be able to match you even if you are really fair. And it does look like they have darker foundation shades as well. Maybe not as dark as they should, but they do have shades that will match a darker skin tone as well. That went on really quickly. It blended really nicely. It does look very natural on my skin, like very luminous. I'm gonna put up my hair. This foundation does look very natural on my skin. It looks very skin-like and it looks pretty glowy, but very natural. So I'm really liking how it's looking on this side. Let's go on the other side with a brush. I just go over my nose with a beauty blender because when I try and do it with a brush, I always get weird streak marks. You could use this foundation with either a brush or a sponge. I think I get the same coverage either way, and it looks pretty much the same as far as the finish goes. So here's what my skin is looking like. I really like how this is looking. It went on so fast. It looks very natural, but it also gave me a lot of coverage pretty quickly. I didn't have to build this foundation up too much. And I'm interested to see how it wears with other products on top of it. So it's $8.36. This is one of Chris and I's first wedding photos. I'm gonna go finish up the rest of my makeup. I'll be back to share with you my thoughts on this foundation. I just finished up the rest of my makeup and here is what we're working with. I am in love with this foundation already. If this stays looking gorgeous all day long, this might be my new favorite foundation. This looks so natural and so skin-like on my skin. You can see on my forehead, it gives me a little bit of that radiant glow. Underneath my powder, I did set my entire face using the Laura Mercier Translucent Setting Powder. This doesn't look too dewy or too oily on my skin. It just looks like I have a soft, luminous glow happening. It's sitting so nicely. So I'm gonna go ahead and wear this throughout the day and see how it holds up, if it gets super luminous throughout the day or super oily throughout the day. We will see. So far, I am in love with this foundation. So it is now, it's now 9 o'clock, so we will do a 10-hour wear test and I will check back in a little bit later in the day. I'll take you throughout my day and do some vlogging as well. So it's now at 2:24. I've had this foundation on for over 5 hours at this point and I really like the foundation. Let me just look at it in the mirror. I don't think that I am too oily. I think it's making my skin still look very soft and very natural. I'm really happy with how this is wearing. It is a little bit hot today in Colorado. I don't know if that is going to influence how oily I get, but so far so good. I'm not seeing any issues that I'm concerned about, no sinking into fine lines, and it is actually controlling my oil pretty dang good, and I will check in a little bit later, but I really like this foundation so far. It is officially the end of the night. It is 9:30. I have had this foundation on my skin for 12 hours. I was going to end this wear test around the 10-hour mark, but I thought that the foundation still looked good enough to continue to wear. So this is what we're looking like at the 12-hour mark. You can see my forehead is a bit oily around my nose. I am oily, but I do still have some foundation on my chin, which is pretty rare. My highlight, my bronzer, my blush all stayed on my face the entire day, and I do feel like my pores looked very minimized. My skin looked very smooth and very flawless throughout the day. It did not feel heavy on my skin. Looking at this foundation in the mirror, I do think that it held up very, very well throughout the day. I didn't notice that it was too heavy. I didn't notice that it was sinking into my forehead lines all that much. It's pretty minimal actually right here. Normally that it's very sunk into like every single forehead line that I have, and I haven't gotten smile line indents right here. It just wore so well, and I didn't notice it getting oily until the 6 or 7 hour mark, which to me, I think that's a pretty good job considering it claims to be a luminous foundation. If you have not tried out this Flower Beauty foundation, you really should, because I really enjoyed this foundation a lot. So that is all I have for you guys. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you in my next video. Bye!